Hi guys, Claudia Boleyn here, and this is just like an update vlog really. I want to do more vlogs and things. You might have noticed already that I'm publishing a lot of videos on my channel that you haven't seen before, that I haven't made public. There have been lots of videos over the time that I've been here on YouTube that I have made and edited, and in some cases they're not really edited. But I made them, and then for whatever reason I didn't put them up, either because I was going through a difficult home situation, or harassment, or self-esteem issues, anything like that really. But I'm finding that going back through them is really helping me to map out a lot of things in my life. So obviously this year has been a big year for me because a lot of stuff happened out of my control. Obviously I had like a big breakdown and I started to really like wake up, and I think it was always meant to happen because I think I'm addressing a lot of stuff in my past, in my childhood, issues that have actually been preventing me from recovering fully. So I have been able to function, kind of. I've found a way to kind of deal with stuff, but I haven't been able to recover fully because I never addressed a lot of stuff from the past. And I've been doing a lot of work recently, which has been quite difficult. I've been going through all my old diaries and stuff. Some of them are on there, and there's loads of them. I've kept journals on and off for most of my life, and I'm just kind of doing a lot of reflection and work. And I have this unique and privileged opportunity in my YouTube videos because I've done YouTube. I can actually map myself back when I was younger. So although I don't, before I wouldn't have spoken about anything like that, there's things in those videos that I allude to that maybe you guys wouldn't know about, and I'm watching them and I'm thinking, okay, right, that's piecing together. So it's been a bit of a strange experience really going through all those. But I'm making some of the videos public, all sorts of vlogs and things, and forgive me if my persona was very different then. I think I'll probably explain in a video going forward as well that obviously I think you know now that I've been going through a very, very difficult home situation. There's a lot of trauma in my background, so those are the things I'm kind of dealing with, and I'm mapping back a lot of situations, and also even things like the detached way that I found that I found this video. I published it on the channel. There'll be random ones coming up all the time, and from an era when I remember I used to wear like a lot of like fluorescent lipsticks and stuff like that. I liked Marina. I still do like Marina and the Diamonds. I like that kind of thing. I wasn't as polished as I am now, and to be honest, I wasn't as real as I am now because in a lot of the videos I'm kind of detached. It's not my fault. I'm kind of dissociating a bit. It was quite disturbing to look back at some of the stuff, some of these videos where I'm talking about the rape threats and stuff I've received, that obviously I've always kind of known in my head that stuff doesn't really hit me the way it might hit other people. Because, again, because of my background and my experiences, I am kind of used to certain things. So, I mean, I certainly have noticed, I spoke about my time team experience, and I noticed how a lot of the other girls on the team really, really found that very, very difficult. And they should have. I'm not undermining them at all. They had every right to find that difficult, of course. And I guess it's just making me face the fact that I am quite desensitized to that kind of thing because I just dissociate a bit. And I kind of go into more of an academic, intellectual space, which is why you'll often find me in the middle of a breakdown, and I will be able to make videos about politics and things, because a survival technique which I employed growing up was to escape into academic stuff, intellectual things that weren't about me, bigger issues. And I kind of escape into that. And I know some of you guys, you're so lovely, and you obviously are quite worried about me doing political stuff, but actually that's, it works very well for me to do political stuff because I talk about this in therapy sometimes, or I did used to talk about this in therapy. I still am doing therapy, but yeah. But yeah, I think it really helps me because it grounds me, and it reminds me that there's a bigger world, and the rules that I've maybe grown up within and that kind of stuff aren't the rules of life. There's bigger stuff going on, and there's so many more people out there, and it helps me actually feel more connected, and to feel like, although in some ways I am and have been quite powerless in that regard, in politics, it's one of the things where you actually are not powerless, even though it can feel that way sometimes. It can feel really depressing, but none of us are powerless in that. So yeah, so I'm just mapping a lot of things back, and I'm going to be making more videos about childhood experiences and things like that. I feel like I'm ready. I'm at the point where that I guess I've just been really overwhelmed by, I think I said before, when I was younger making videos, I would hide these aspects a lot, and I can see that in some of the videos, and it upset me. Some of these, watching these back, has just set me bawling, just made me start crying, because you don't know how young you were. You don't realise, and sometimes I look back And I know, like, for example, like being 21 or something isn't that young, but compared to me now, and I think about what I had dealt with and what I at that point still thought was okay and normal, and hadn't addressed, you know, all that stuff going on. It just made me cry, really. That probably sounds so narcissistic to like cry at yourself, but I guess I just never addressed so many things. And I did put on the persona that was more kind of like amused and almost sarcastic and funny and like, haha, it's like, it's nothing to me. And actually in some ways, like, it wasn't, in the sense that like the threats and stuff, like all that stuff at that time didn't really get me like it would get anyone else, because I'd already developed like a coping mechanism for that. And I think I've said before, like in other videos, quite revealing, I think, I've said this for years really without you guys knowing the context, but in my head, I guess I think like what harm can a stranger's words do to me with what I'm already or have already experienced? Like, what harm can, like, it's nothing compared to, if that makes sense. Not to invalidate the real genuine fear and pain it causes, because it is scary when you get threats and stuff online. But certainly I've been thinking a lot about, you know, over the years. I know Dad, for example, I haven't grown up with my dad, so Mum and Dad separated when I was 3.5. It was not amicable. It was an awful stressful time. A lot of stuff went on there that was just so incredibly difficult for me and Dan, I think. Yeah, it's not like I don't necessarily, I'm not someone who thinks, oh, there shouldn't be divorce or that divorces are bad. It wasn't the divorce that was the bad thing. It was the whole way it was handled, I think, was the trauma. Something I learned as well, to do with trauma. I'm reading a lot. My therapist has been great because she knows that I love reading and like academic stuff, and she's been like suggesting me loads of books and things, which have really helped me. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score that I'm reading at the moment. Growing up, obviously, I had a lot of physical symptoms that were hiding my mental health issues, and in some ways mental health issues that weren't mental health issues. That sounds crazy to say, like I'm probably not explaining that right, but they are mental health issues that now exist and that I do now have. But what I mean is that they came from a situation and an environment, and my brain as a way to protect me, and my body. Your brain and your body will work together to try and get you through whatever you're going through. So for example, like they study this in post-traumatic stress disorder with veterans who've been in terrible conflict situations. But your brain and your body will try to protect you in whatever way. So something I do, which I've said before, is I depersonalise, derealise, dissociate. I completely leave my body. So after something traumatic happens, it usually takes me a couple of days to actually process it. So I kind of go into like a kind of shock where I'm kind of on autopilot, which is why it's quite difficult to explain, because you know, sometimes people around you will think that you're actually okay. But on the inside, you're just completely drained and empty and unable to process or think or anything, really. You're just kind of going through the motions, and that's what I do. I just tend to completely detach from things, really. And also that's part of why I'm so like, I love fiction and I love writing, and I love getting involved in like the stories of other people, and watching Doctor Who's get me through a lot. Umbrella Academy. Whenever stuff's really bad, I watch Umbrella Academy, because it's a way to kind of process things without being you. Borderline personality disorder. I'm going to make some more videos about that, but I think they're starting to understand now, and I'm certainly starting to understand that it's a trauma response. So it's something that develops because your brain as a child tries to help you cope, and with the reality that you are existing within, your brain thinks it's doing the right thing. It does think it's helping you, and that helps me also as well not feel so ashamed of myself and feel so upset about these things, because I have a lot of self-hatred and a lot of, you know, I was self-harmer, all that stuff. To the extent that I do this thing where if someone would hurt me, I would then hurt myself as a punishment. And I know that sounds really mad, but that's kind of what I used to do. And now I'm starting to realise, like, to actually love myself and love my body. And in some ways it's actually turning into like body positivity. Like, it didn't mean to, but I realised that I did hate myself. You know, I really did not have any care or concern for myself. As me, you know, I did care about what I came across like. I felt very vulnerable about the way people perceived me, but I didn't care about myself, and I really didn't like myself as a being. You know, I think I said before I was ashamed to be alive, and I still feel ashamed to be alive sometimes. So I'm kind of learning now at 27 to actually not hate myself and my body and my being, and obviously it helps me. My relationship with Dan has been so amazing to me, and I often do think that without Dan in my life, I think I'd probably be dead, or even worse than that, I think I would have turned into a horrible person. I think I would have turned into a cold person. You often see people who go through trauma, and it's really, really sad, because sometimes, you know, there is no one to tether them to try and survive, will cut off their kindness and their compassion, and they'll become the very thing that hurt them because they feel powerless. And it makes me really sad, and I think that's why some people say I'm really crazy for feeling sympathy for stuff like that, like even criminals and things sometimes, but I do feel sad if it comes from a place of trauma, because I guess I feel like I could probably have gone there myself. Like I think Dan saved me, really, in ways that he doesn't really understand. I've actually been writing a lot of poetry and stuff and prose to try and process this, which I will put up on my website at some point. I'm going to start putting my writing up. But, I think that I think seeing Dan as an innocent, and as a child and as my younger brother, and knowing to protect him, I think even now has allowed me to hold on to a sense that, wait, I was an innocent child as well, like Dan, and I should have been protected as well. And I also sometimes, I look back sometimes, and I also always wish I'd been better to Dan. Like, I did try my best. I loved Dan. We're so close. But even then, I wish I'd been more aware. I wish I could travel back in time right now and scoop up those kids. I wish I could just go back and scoop them up. But I do know, like, I go through in therapy and stuff, like, the one thing I can cling on to in my life, and you know how much I love Dan, and I talk about that all the time. But it is one of this very pure thing in my life that reminds me that there's good in the world and that there is good in me, because I love my brother unconditionally, and try to understand him and want to be there for him. And it's a very healthy love, and it's the only healthy love I have in my life. Honestly, it's the only love I can rely on, truly, in all regards, really, is the love I have for Dan and the love that Dan has for me. Without that, I think I'd be a different person, and it makes me really sad, because I see so many people who do become a different person because they didn't have that. And it does make me sad, and sometimes people say, oh, you should be harsher, you should be more angry, you should hate those people more, but I don't, because I know how you're on a knife edge, and it can just be that one thing can send you in either direction. And I was so lucky that I had Dan, so I didn't go in that direction, and essentially I could have been on my way there. I didn't eventually, ultimately I didn't, because I had Dan. Not everyone has a Dan in their life, and I just feel, But yeah, so I'm at a stage where I'm processing a lot of trauma and stuff, and so you're probably going to see me, like, publishing videos that I never posted before, which, so yeah, they're not new stuff. I'll probably put throwback on them just so you know, the old me back, that old persona. And I think I was afraid of being myself, because this is me, honestly, who I am. I think I'm quite gentle, I'm not that persona, but I guess I was so used to putting on a persona as a survival technique, really. And I don't know, I'm watching Doctor Who at the moment. I'm loving Doctor Who Flux so much, and the story with 13 and Tecteun, and her saying that she feels like her life was stolen and she doesn't know who she could have been. It just bonded me with 13 to such a degree that I now absolutely love the 13th Doctor. I love her very much. Like, that Timeless Children arc came at the right time for me, so I'm very grateful to Chris Chibnall for that. It came at a good time, but I'm still figuring a lot of stuff out. So I think in the future I'll probably talk about stuff in more detail, but it's still slow even for me, because I'm still trying to figure stuff out. And you erase a lot of your memories, or not necessarily erase them, but you don't want to think about them. And sometimes you only remember the big ones because they were the big things, and going back through my journals is just reminding me of, like, the smaller things, but that weren't okay, that were awful. But in my head, like, you only hold the big ones, I think. I'm still processing a lot of that. So, I was thinking about maybe even doing a question and answer session. I was not anticipating how much my personal vlogs would help people. And if I had known that, then I would have done them earlier, when I was younger. And also how much they'd help me. But I didn't realise, since I made them, I've had a lot of private messages from people who are experiencing similar stuff, or have, and understand that. And it's made me feel better, and it helps me to know that those people understand, and maybe it makes them feel better too. So I'd be really willing to do a question and answer. If you guys want, I'd be happy to answer questions about experiences and childhood and things like that. I think in a lot of ways I've been brought up in a way that, like, you guys can probably relate to this, but, like, some of you anyway, like, don't air the dirty laundry, don't talk about it. But it gets to a point sometimes where it actually destroys you. And it has been destroying me for a long, long time. And I'm not holding that anymore, because I shouldn't have to hold that. It was kind of mad that I ever felt that I did have to. And obviously I think some of you guys would have seen like the pushback that came on this channel itself when I was having my breakdown, and I even started talking in a small way about stuff very vaguely. There was a lot of intense pushback, and at the time, you know, sometimes I need to take a break and look, and looking, it's just part of the same pattern of silencing and stuff. And I'm actually watching a lot of stuff with Princess Diana. I'm very interested in that, Meghan Markle, the British tabloids, all that stuff. I'm actually making a video essay about that. I'm not a royalist. I know I say that all the time. I don't approve of the royal family as an institution. But I am very, very fascinated by the way that we see whistleblowers get silenced, or people threatened or called crazy and stuff. And I've always felt very bonded to Princess Diana anyway because of the BPD and her interviews. I think if you have borderline personality disorder, same with Marilyn Monroe, I think sometimes they'll say something and you just absolutely understand and you just think, yeah, I get that. So I want to make some videos about that, but also I want to make some more videos about my life and my experiences, and I didn't realise how much it would help people and how much it would help me, and I think it's been weighing me down so much. So yeah, I hope that these can help people. If you have questions or anything you want me to talk about, then, you know, put it in the description box. I might make another smaller video in a second and just put it up on its own to just say, for people who didn't want to watch through the vlog, that I will accept questions and things. Dan and I are going to do our sibling video, and we're going to make a Doctor Who video, but also I do want to talk about mental health stuff. I want to talk about trauma. I want to talk about abuse and trauma and what that does, and coping mechanisms and all those things. I think I've wanted to talk about those things for a very long time, and I never felt like it was a reality and that I could really. And I suddenly realised that, wait, that the barriers I felt were in my head. Those bars aren't real. They were just kind of imposed, but they're not there. Like, I don't have to. I'm not in anyone's power or control. That's not even a real thing, and I don't know, it makes me sad that I used to think I kind of was. Yeah, so it's just an update video really. I'm not coping particularly well right now, but also I am, in a way I kind of am, because of Dan, and videos, you know, being able to talk about things has actually helped me so much. I would not have been able to get back to where I was now so quickly if it wasn't for you guys and for talking about things. It really has helped me so much, and the stress has actually in some ways been worth it. And also, even when I was in the midst of all that stuff, so when all that awful stuff was going on that you guys know about, I was still having to do my masters, you know, because I'm doing my second year masters, and it was very, very hard to work. So that was something that I found very hard. And I worked very hard on it anyway with what little I could, and I got in touch with my tutor, and I mean, the uni know all the circumstances. And I actually got it back the other day, and I got a distinction for my assignment, masters, which is a big deal because it's a masters, so to get a distinction on your masters, you know, assignments and stuff is quite a big deal. And it was just, it made me feel really good. It felt like a sign. I know it's not really, I know it's just like hard work, and like, you know, I'm, it's not arrogant to say like I am quite good at it, but it does feel like a sign, like a step in the right direction. And obviously my therapy right now is helping me with boundaries and understanding all these, I had so many prisons in my head, like my head was like a prison, all these rules that weren't real, like they don't exist in society, they only exist in my environment or my surroundings growing up. And you know, obviously I wasn't in communication with Dad when I was growing up. I wasn't really in communication with anyone. So and I was very cut off from certain people. And I wasn't the only one in my family who was in that situation. But I guess looking at it now is all kind of mad and upsetting, and I don't know, a lot of feelings, but it helps to talk, and I hope that if you guys relate, then it helps. And I intend to make more videos and talk about stuff, and trauma especially, and all those things, and what it does to your psychology, and I'm fascinated by it. And maybe in the future one day, like maybe I'll be able to write something on it, maybe I'll be able to like write papers or help with research or anything, especially in terms with how BPD forms. I think that we're kind of starting to move away now from the idea of personality disorder into more trauma response, traumatised child thing. I think that's kind of maybe where we're moving with that, and hopefully I can help in some way with that, because yeah, it's just a lot of stuff. But yeah, I'm okay, and have been focusing on politics stuff more because it's hard to talk about this stuff, but I intend to talk more about it. So yeah, I love you loads, and I'll expect more videos on and off, and I'll make another video, just a short one, just saying like to leave questions if you want. I won't talk about everything. I mean, you might have questions and some of it I might think, you know, wait, it's too personal stuff. But even that stuff I can kind of talk a little bit. If it helps you guys, then it's a good thing, and it will also help me. And I guess I don't want anyone who's in the situation I was before to feel like there's nothing there, because like I say, I wish I could time travel back. Wish I could go and rescue myself. I really wish I could go back and rescue myself and Dan, but you know. Right, I love you loads, and I'll see you really soon. Okay, hope you're okay. Love you. Bye.